Fandom drama is like shipping disputes. Crime is embezzlement. The mod spent over $20,000 on Genshin Impact rolls, on the child banner, $1,400 on Voltron charms. Yo! You were the victim of a zine crime! Zines, 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 however you like to say it. It's zines. Fanzines have been a staple in fandom culture for decades, no, almost a century now, and creating them has been a tradition in pretty much every pocket of media fandom you can find out there. If there's a fan community of some sort surrounding something, then chances are there's fanzines for it. But in more recent years, fanzines have become a growing hub of controversies and drama involving scams, projects crashing and burning, your fandom typical shipping discourse and morality politics, artist harassment, zine mods going MIA, never to be seen again, and embezzlement. Literal fandom crime is afoot, everyone. Now, if you're active in fandom yourself, then you probably have seen fanzines floating around out there, or have even participated in some, or have bought some yourself. But if you're not familiar with what fanzines are, let me pull up Georgia Tech's definition real quick. A fanzine is a fan-created publication dedicated to a specific genre by other fans who have similar interests. The term fanzine is a combination of the words fan and magazine, which implies the general vehicle for which these fan-made articles are distributed. Fanzines, which are also just called zines, can take the form of graphic novels, comic books, stories, editorials, and other such formats. Basically, just magazines made by fans for fans. Sometimes it's a whole group of fans coming together and all taking part in a zine project. Sometimes it's just a singular fan creator, like a fan artist or a fanfic writer. Fanzines will conventionally have a specific fandom focus, like just one fandom, and then they'll zoom in on a niche within that fandom, be it a ship, a genre, or a theme. For example, there could be a coffee shop AU Luigi zine, or a Skate the Infinity wedding zine, a Miguel O'Hara booty appreciation zine. So much art of him in short shorts. Personally, I adore fanzines. I've been collecting them since I was a teenager. I have a whole stack of them I'll show you guys later in the video and explain why I love them so much more in depth. I also really enjoy learning about the history of fanzines, how they started really taking off and made fandom what it is today. I'm gonna try to cover it in a nutshell, but it's not gonna be comprehensive by any means. The fan passion that's put into these projects is contagious, and I want to be able to help support my favorite fan creators and discover new ones in the fandoms I'm part of. But it really sucks because as someone who likes to hoard them, I'm less inclined to buy them nowadays just because it's gotten so sketchy behind the scenes. I don't want to trust just anybody with my address and money, you know? Which, by the way, this wasn't intentional. I literally was just going off the cuff ranting, and then lo and behold, perfect segue, leads me into our sponsor. This just in. Your personal information may be in danger. We're going to be covering a lot of sus stuff happening in the world of fanzines, but did you know that as we speak, data brokers are after information like your full name, your health records, your home address, all to sell to the highest bidder? Scammers, spammers, other unsavory characters, oh my, who are looking to take advantage of whoever they can. Seeing everything that's out in the open is scary and makes me worried about what's going down beyond my line of sight online. That's where the sponsor of today's video comes in, Aura. Aura shows which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. This not only helps to reduce the amount of spam emails coming my way, but it also helps to protect me against hackers who would use my information to get access to things like my bank accounts, or my social media, or my health portals. In addition to all of that, I also get access to features like password management, a VPN, antivirus protection, all without having to download loads of other apps or add-ons. Everything is in one spot working in tandem, it's super easy to set up, and it all comes at one affordable price. With Aura hard at work 24/7 to ensure my private info stays private, I can continue to enjoy my work and focus on the important stuff, sharing brain rot for fictional characters and media with all of you. So if you value your privacy and want some protection against the data thieves and pirates out there, you can head to aura.com/ColeyDoesThings for a 2-week free trial. That's aura.com/ColeyDoesThings for a 2-week free trial. Thank you so much, Aura, for supporting my content and looking out for everybody online out there. Now let's get back into it. So, how did fanzines come about exactly? Fanzines got their start in the 1930s. That's right, the Depression era, which was nearly 100 years ago. The very first fanzine was called The Comet, which was published in 1930 by the Science Correspondence Club in Chicago, and the word fanzine itself originated in a 1940 sci-fi fanzine by Ruth Chavonnet. By the way, the term pro-mag was and still is used to differentiate between professional magazines, or pro-mags, and fan-made magazines, fanzines. However, unlike the zines of today, these zines were more non-fiction focused, and topics generally centered around talking about sci-fi stories rather than creating fan content for them. Think interviews with people involved in the sci-fi scene, or convention reports, or reviews. This trend followed through with other types of zines in other fan communities. So when exactly did fanzines gain relevance in fandom as we know it, like transformative media? In the 1960s, with the appearance of media fanzines. Media fanzines, rather than honing in on discussions around a piece of media, instead veered into the territory of media creation in the, you guessed it, Star Trek fandom. Oh, those Trekkies. Taking a quote from Jacqueline Lichtenberg, who was a co-author of the book Star Trek Lives, which chronicles the rise of the Star Trek fandom up until 1975, she deserves her own video, honestly. Star Trek fanzines arose out of science fiction fandom, where fanzines never carried fiction. They were articles and personal ramblings and letters of comment on novels and reviews and Q&As with authors and science and criticism, and best of all, con reports. Star Trek fanzines were started by people steeped in that tradition, but whose writers and readers wrote fiction, and Star Trek fiction with Star Trek characters from the aired shows, plus original characters. And that's what they published. At first, many fanzines carried scripts in script format, stories that could have been filmed for TV. They had poetry, artwork, and most of all, letters of comment. The Star Trek fanzine, Spockanalia, published in 1967, was the first zine to feature fanfic in it. That was the start of the actual fan content in fanzines, tidal wave, and the birth of fanfic culture as we know it today in the West. Remember that this all was happening before internet and email, so most of the fanfics that were shared and public at this time were found in these fanzines. You gotta give some respect to those Star Trek girlies who were housewives, librarians, English teachers by day, and zine contributors by night. And I do want to briefly mention doujinshis, which can be considered the Japanese equivalent of fanzines. The shi in doujinshi actually means magazine. I think I'm gonna save doujins for a separate video going over the differences between Western and Eastern fandom to give them the proper dues, but going back to Star Trek zines, they were created by zine contributors typing out their fanfics on typewriters, mind you, and then mailing them back and forth with one another for editing and feedback. And then, once that quality check stage was finished, using offset printing and mimeograph duplicators, copies would be created, physically bound, and then finally distributed by mail to other Trekkies who would sign up for these zines via mailing lists and or sold at sci-fi conventions. These zines were how many fans with the same interests were able to stay in touch with one another and share their fanfic and fan art. It was how fan communities were able to be cultivated outside of conventions and meetups, which would only happen a few times a year and at set singular locations. It was a very intimate experience for fans. I mean, just imagine curling up and getting cozy with proof of fan connection in your hands. And if you think zines take a while now to create and ship out, imagine how long it took back then. We're really fortunate now to be able to make zines on our own if we want to. I mean, all you need is a computer and a printer and you're set. There's plenty of nifty tutorials you can find on YouTube or by scouring the internet if you want to try your hand at making one yourself. In a weekend, you can craft yourself a zine and then blast it on your social media. Mind you, this is only if you're working by yourself. If you have a whole team of zine organizers and mods and editors and contributors, then it's a whole different story. Fanzines today have come a long way from their ancestors. Nowadays, they're a little more focused on showcasing artwork rather than fanfic, although fanfic is still very much included in many zines. Some are fairly lo-fi, and many fan creators will make their own zines either for fun or to sell at conventions or on their online stores. But high-quality, high-fidelity zine production has skyrocketed over the past few years as more and more ambitious fans want to try their hand at making them, heading them, or being a part of them. Oh my, don't look at my shoulder, how scandalous. This is not the official industry standard because there's a lot of ways you can go about making a zine, but typically, zine production will go as follows. Someone will have an idea for a zine, for example, a Star Wars themed Vashwood zine. If you guys are actually on board for a Star Wars themed Vashwood zine, then please, please, please let me know. And after doing a bit of research to see if the zine has been done before or if there's any similar zines floating around around that could serve as competition. They then will run what's called an interest check, which is usually through posts or polls in their fandom community to see if people would be interested in helping run the zine, like through editing or modding, or contributing to the zine, like through fics or fan art, or if they would be interested in buying it, period. If you have a lot of reach in a fandom or have friends with a lot of reach, it can be super helpful in getting your zine idea out there, engaging interest amongst a bigger crowd of people. Once the interest check results are in, they'll see if the zine is viable, if there's enough interested parties realistically in terms of buyers and contributors, and from there, run the numbers for things like production costs, funding, shipping, contributor compensation, profit, if any. A lot of zines out there are either nonprofit or go towards a charity. If the zine is viable on that front, then the next step is to create a doable timeline of everything that needs to happen for the zine to happen. A new social media account will also be made for the zine that will feature a public-facing schedule so people can follow along the points of production, see when shipping's gonna happen, see when they may receive their zine, once everything is said and done, FAQs, updates, just things to make sure that buyers are in the loop. Then mods and editors, if any, will be brought on board with jobs ranging from finance to design to layout to contributor coordination to copy editing, etc. Applications will then become available on the zine social media account for any fan creators who want to become contributors through their fan art or fanfics. Depending on how popular and competitive the zine is, sometimes it's like 90% of the prospective contributors being accepted, sometimes it's more like 10% of the prospective contributors being accepted. It's like college applications all over again. Marketing will take place to build up hype for the zine, often featuring accepted contributors like, hey, if you know this fan artist, if you love their stuff, then they're gonna be part of our zine, so... And mind you, zine contributors are making brand new content for the zine that's tailor-made for the zine's theme or ship or genre, so it's stuff that hasn't been seen before. And so when you have high-profile fan creators joining these zine projects, it ends up bringing in a lot of their fans or people who are interested in their work. And then, when the time comes for sales, a window of time will be open for buyers to place pre-orders, usually with incentives like, oh, for the first 100 people to place a zine order, you get a special early bird discount or an exclusive keychain. Sometimes there's order benchmarks, like, oh, if the zine receives 300 orders, then everyone will get premium packaging that features cheapies of the character printed all over it. After all the orders are in and that buying window has closed and all of the contributors have submitted their work, the mod or mods will coordinate getting the zines printed and organized either through local printers or services online, as well as take care of any other goodies like pins, keychains, prints, etc., a lot of which will usually come in zine packages. Zines will typically come with like tiers of stuff you can buy, like, oh, for $20 you get the physical copy of the zine plus a digital copy emailed to you. Or if you want some more stuff, you can pay $40 and you get the zine plus the digital copy plus a couple keychains. Or if you pay $60, you get the zine, the digital copy, the keychains, and a print. And then the higher you go, the more stuff you get. At this step, there will also be regular check-ins on the social media page, just so buyers are aware of how things are progressing on the production side of things, and aren't left like waiting, twiddling their thumbs like, hey, I ordered my zine package like 6 months ago. I really want my keychains and my artwork. Is everything okay? And then comes the postal shipping part, which may be the most challenging part of this whole process, because you gotta make sure that everybody's stuff is properly put together and packaged and labeled and sent out. And if it's a big project, then you're looking at hundreds, if not thousands of orders. And when that's finally completed, when all the little packages are en route, any digital goods, like digital copies of the zine, will be emailed out. Presto! Zine project finished. If there's any leftover products from the zine project, they'll often be sold online at discounted prices. It's a really good deal for those who found out about the zine too late or maybe missed the window to buy, but not every zine project will have leftovers, so it's kind of a gamble. And sometimes there'll even be giveaways for the leftovers. Whew! So as you can tell by all of that, running a zine is a lot of work, akin akin to running a small business, albeit without a huge profit at the end. Zines aren't exactly get-rich-quick schemes unless you're either really cutting corners somewhere or something shady is happening. It can be incredibly straining mentally, physically, socially, but ultimately, for the fans who are super passionate about these zine projects, incredibly worth it to see your zine baby idea going out into the world and being appreciated and loved by other fans who really liked your idea or just love zines, period. And that's ultimately why the majority of them are created. They're a way to bring together groups of fans to create something they're passionate about and see potential in. Mods and editors will often be working on multiple zine projects at a time, and some gain a reputation for it. Working on zines ends up being a hobby for them, or sometimes a side gig. Zines are also a way that many artists and writers get more exposure in fandom social media spaces if they're chosen to participate. And again, many zines at the end of the day are actually charity-based, with all profits going to a cause that's chosen by its coordinator. Also, the content in the zine will often be themed around or connected to the cause in some way. If you couldn't already tell by the amount of on my wall and just things sitting in my room, I'm a collector of fan memorabilia. Zine goodies are a lot of fun to collect because zines themselves are so hyper-specific. It's also a super fun way to show support to your local fan creators. And the fact that, again, so many zines are non-profit, so people go into making them expecting no financial compensation and even fun chunks of it out of their own pocket, it's really admirable. Making zines is more often than not a communal activity, and so seeing projects come together in the end is super inspiring even as a spectator, and it makes me want to work on my own projects and get them out there sooner than later. Zines have been a huge part of fandom for so long, and I think it's important to preserve that history. In fact, the OTW, or Organization for Transformative Works, which AO3 is part of, and the Special Collections Department of the University of Iowa have a project together called the FCPP, Fan Culture Preservation Project, that aims to archive and preserve fanzines and other non-digital forms of fan culture, which is crazy cool. I can only imagine all the stuff they collected over the years. I did briefly want to share some of my own fanzines I've gotten over the years. I got a stack of them right here. Again, I haven't really bought zines in a hot sec. I think the last one I bought was back in like 2021. I am on the hunt for some Trigun and Danmei zines though, so if you know of any going on at the moment, then let me know in the comments. Yeah, but this definitely is serving as a time capsule because look at the first one. We've got a Clance zine by an artist I really like called Hawberries. This one came with a couple of prints as well, if I remember correctly. God, we got a make Hanzo one. This one's dusty too. I like how you get the front and the back as well. This one I got on a whim at a convention actually, but it's a Shinzo and I don't even remember his name. Monoma? The copycat dude from My Hero. But I ended up getting dragged into the rare pair because of this. Oh, look at them. Holy shit, this was 2017. Wait, the Clance one was from 2016. We've got a BTS AU comic anthology zine. This one feels nice. It's like a really soft cover, and then you get all these interlocking rooms of the members, which is really cool to look at. This one was a lot of fun to read because they got so many different scenarios from so many different artists, lots of different styles. That's one of my favorite parts about going through zines, actually. All the different styles you get to see from the artists. Everything is so different. It's like a visual feast. Another BTS zine, more Clance. Another Clance art zine. Oh, I recognize some of these artists. I hope they're doing all right. I haven't heard from a lot of them in a hot second. I've got a couple Jujutsu Kaisen Sadosugu zines. This was back in December of 2021. I've had Sadosugu brain rot for over 2 years now. This is really sweet because it's themed around the color blue, and so you got the blue of Satoru's eyes, but also the blue of the situation that these boys find themselves in, and then the artist also put Spotify codes into the artwork, and so as you're just perusing through, you can get into the mood by listening to songs that go with the art. Oh, this is one of my favorite zines. It's so angsty. This is one of my favorite Sadosugu pieces of all time. There's also a mini zine by the same artist. It's a little more lo-fi, kind of like sketchbook vibes, but it's still really, really good. And Curse Ghetto. Oh, going back to my Yoapeta era. These are a couple of Yowamushi Pedal zines. Got like a snapshot of a bunch of moments from Hakugaku, as well as another comic anthology featuring Hakugaku. I have a favorite team, if you couldn't tell. Oh my goodness, it came with a bookmark too. Oh, it's like going down memory lane. Ooh, we've got a Haikyuu zine. It's Saku Atsu and Suna Osa. More goodies inside, stickers. Oh, that is so cute. I love little montagey things like this, like a scrapbook sort of feel. You get all the artists and writers who were involved. There's fan fiction, there's artwork. Super sweet. Look at all that. Yeah, you can see the mods often leave messages as well. Another Clance zine, this time for AUs. Got your Hogwarts AU. You've got, oh, like a modern countryside AU. Summer AU. I really should go back and look at some old fanfics for Clance. Got a Haikyuu cooking zine, which features recipes for Onigiri Miya, which is the restaurant that one of the Miya brothers ends up founding. It is really cute. Like, not only is there like a story happening here with illustrations, but there are legit recipes. And it came with a tote bag too, which I still use to go grocery shopping. I've got a couple zines from a Haikyuu artist I really like, Mookie. And finally, we have this behemoth. It's a chili or tartali zine. This is a big zine. It actually came in a whole little box. There were tons of little goodies with it. Keychains, stickers, prints. But the zine itself is gorgeous. Look at that gold foil we have right there. It's super glossy and colorful, and it is full of beautiful artwork as well as fanfic. It just keeps on going and going. The back too, it's a whole wraparound scene. A zine scene. These were all the zines I could find sitting in my room at the moment. I might have some in my office or like in storage, but alas, really fun to just flip through and reminisce every now and then.
And nothing can go wrong. Oh no, it all went wrong.
So, fun fact, in the process of making this video, it turns out that I forgot I had pre-ordered a Haikyuu flower-themed zine back in 2021. Just through all the research and the filming and everything, it hit me like a truck. And lo and behold, after pilfering through Twitter to find the zine's old account, it turns out that the head mod disappeared mid-project and another ran off with the postal shipping funds. Shortly after, their cousin made an appearance to try to smooth things over and get the goods at least to another mod's house, but then they also went radio silent. Oh yes, what a coincidence that the cousin disappeared too. So yeah, never got my cottagecore themed Haikyuu goods, unfortunately. Yo! You were the victim of a zine crime! Like anything else that gets super popular or super widespread, the more those doors open and more people come in, the more bad actors are also going to come through those doors. Fanzine drama and controversy is nothing new. It was bubbling up in the 80s and 90s with the rise of the internet, it persisted through the 2010s and Tumblr's golden era, and now in the age of social media, it's only getting more widespread. Currently, it's reached the point where people are like, oh boy, the fourth fanzine drama of the week, what's it about this time? Zine controversy can be broken down into a handful of causes. One cause is disorganization amongst the team putting the zine together. They're not on the same page, have conflicting schedules, communication styles, work habits, time commitments. A lot of the time, parts of the organizer team, maybe a mod or two, will get super burnt out with their responsibilities and end up very overwhelmed, leading them to eventually ghosting the project altogether and abandoning their social media accounts because they just can't take it anymore, especially if mods are working on multiple zines at a time. It's a lot. This tends to happen, unfortunately, with newer zine organizers or younger fans who underestimate the time, energy, and work that goes into making these zines move forward. Which makes me feel really bad because it's such an awful and stressful experience for a fan who just wants to make something nice at the end of the day, you know? But again, zine projects can be big commitments, and so if you're joining in because you want to look good amongst your peers or get some fandom social media clout, you're not joining for the right reasons. And if you actually join because you're passionate but you end up losing steam halfway through, talk to people about it. If deadlines and production schedules need to be pushed back for the sake of everyone involved, better that than a project that's dead in the water or canceled altogether. And at the end of the day, if a zine project really needs to be canceled because it's just too much for people, then cancel it. Yeah, people will be disappointed, but better that than just being strung along wondering what's happening because no one knows what's going on or who's even still involved at this point. High production costs are another big point of ire. As the quality of a zine goes up and you want anything from nice glossy thick paper to super vibrant colors to gold foil accents or anything really to make it stand out and not look like it's been printed on paper you got from Staples. It costs a lot of money. Consumers want high quality zines and merch, and if you're competing against a zine that either has the same ship or a similar theme, then you want to do everything you can to get on top, and so you end up paying for those higher production costs. And if there's any errors with the printing, like blank pages or poor alignment, that takes money and time to fix. Speaking of money, and this isn't even drama at this point, it's literal crime, zine scammers. And I really don't want to make them sound equal either, because fandom drama and controversy is like one thing, it can be petty. But crime is crime. Like, fandom drama is like shipping disputes or morality politics. Crime is embezzlement. There are those who do see these zine projects as a way to make a quick buck through scamming people, buyers, contributors, and mods alike. Sometimes it's just incredibly poor self-control in the face of temptation, especially if the zine is big and popular and brought in a lot of buyers, and so you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars on the table that's supposed to go to production and shipping costs. Maybe someone on the zine team who's in charge of finances sees all this and is like, shoot, I'm behind on my car payment, or I need to pay rent this month and I'm running low on my savings. Do I just skim a little off the top, or do I just dig deep into the pockets of the zine and hope nobody notices? Maybe after thinking it over a bit, they say, F it, take as much as they can, and then run for the hills, deleting all of their social media accounts. Or, on a more nefarious note, it could have been planned from the get-go. Someone hops aboard a zine project as a mod who's happy to help, only to have a scheme in place to take everything in a clean sweep, leave, screw everybody on the project over, and then hop into the next zine project they can get their claws into. Covering their tracks along the way, making new social media accounts, and trying to bury any reputation that they may have accrued. And it's even worse still when a zine that's meant to be for charity has a nice profit building up that's supposed to be going to a donation, and then suddenly it's gone. For whatever reason, a zine scam happens, people get screwed over on the inside of the project and out. On the inside, there's the other mods who have to pick up the pieces and inform the buyers, and then the buyers who may not even get their goods at the end of the day. There's the creators, the contributors, who are working hard to make their work look great to put into the zine, but now if the zine's not happening anymore because someone ran away with all the money, it's a mess. Fanzine favoritism is another problem that has been creeping up. This isn't an issue if the zine is just a fun thing to work on between friends who want to pool their artistic and written works together. But as I mentioned a couple times previously, big contributors, aka creators, joining zines means more buyers and attention due to the audience and reach they've cultivated. So in order to maximize exposure and profit, if the zine isn't for charity or a non-profit project, some fanzines will have stipulations in place like only artists with over 10,000 followers can apply for this zine, or you must have an average of X amount of likes per art post to be considered, which can lead to the overall project becoming one big popularity contest based on numbers rather than quality, and a lot of fantastic creators being left out because they're not big on social media. The zine's loss, I suppose. And as a cherry on top of all of this, there have been tips over zine rules, what type of content is allowed in zines, and who gets to participate in zines due to the fan content they make online. I really don't want to touch this sort of discourse with a 39.5-foot pole if I can help it, but in a nutshell, there's been a common trend of what sorts of fanzines should be made or what shouldn't be allowed in terms of ships and themes for zines, which has led to swaths of creators being blacklisted or banned from participating in zines because of conflicting interests with the mods and editors, which more often than not leads to the zine projects falling apart or getting cancelled due to backlash or lack of support or contributors. This has been happening more and more lately and has been giving multi-shipper artists in particular a lot of trouble. And it'd be one thing if there were just guidelines for participating in these zines, like if a zine wants to have rules or boundaries for what content is allowed or who's allowed to participate, they have every right to respectfully enforce it. Zines are catered to specific niches after all. They're zines for pretty much every flavor of ship, and if a contributor doesn't feel the vibes or isn't liking where a zine is going, they don't have to participate or get involved in any way. But unfortunately, zine rules can end up being very vague or can turn ridiculous in terms of what is and isn't allowed, and can lead to wild criteria lists that look like this. It more often than not turns into harassment campaigns against creators who do decide to make their own zine projects if they disagree with the rules of another, or against artists who are not allowed or no longer allowed to participate in the zine project. And then this all of course leads to hardcore policing within zine projects by fellow contributors or by mods and editors to make sure that anyone who's a part of the zine has never created anything that can be deemed problematic or controversial, which depending on who you ask could be a pretty nebulous definition. And if a contributor has been found to have made anything deemed problematic or controversial in terms of content, they'll typically be publicly outed and shamed for it in addition to being kicked out of the project. There's plenty of ways to handle uncomfortable situations where maybe the rules or guidelines weren't clear, or if there's a conflict of interest between a contributor and a mod, there should be a way to mitigate and figure out a solution with a degree of professionalism because again, these are projects with a lot of moving parts rather than just ejecting someone and sicking the masses on them. Otherwise, how on earth are you going to make future projects run smoothly and be successful with them? When prospective zine buyers see drama, discourse, and controversy surrounding zines, they're much less inclined to buy them because, after all, they don't want to trust the wrong people with their personal information and money. Some fanzine controversies that I've personally been privy to, either through the grapevine or through my own fandom explorations online, include a Hualien zine that fell apart and was cancelled because a contributing artist was using references for their art piece and was subsequently kicked out. I guess references weren't allowed for some reason, even though using references is a big part of the artistic process for the vast majority of artists out there. A Skate the Infinity zine dedicated to the villain Adam, which was put into production after several other Skate the Infinity zines happening at the same time, didn't allow for any Adam pieces at all to be included in their zine projects. Yeah, just straight up banning any art or fics about Adam like he never existed as a character in the first place. But okay, zine rules are zine rules. However, the zine hit a roadblock when an outside party, upset that an Adam-centric zine now existed I guess, reported it to PayPal for sexual content in order to put all the shipping and production funds on hold in the hopes that the zine would be cancelled. But in the end, PayPal found no actual violations had taken place, lifted their hold, and the zines were shipped out without further issue. A Saku Atsu zine, which was partially for profit, partially for charity, and featured several big artists and writers from the ship community as contributors, most of whom had already completed their fanart and fanfics for it, ended up having their head mod go MIA after a disagreement with several other mods, causing these mods to then also drop out of the project or go ghost, leaving the creator contributors wondering what the hell was going on and what would happen with the zine pre-orders. But in the end, the project was shut down with the contributors who spent time and energy making their pieces for it getting no compensation at all. At the very least, it was better than having the project continue into the mailing and money handling stage, only to crash and burn later on. And the Genshin fandom has been hit with a series of zine breakdowns after some notorious mod scammers cleaned out zine funds or indefinitely halted production for literal years due to going MIA. One mod in charge of finances, working on several projects at the same time, from a Toma-centric zine to one dedicated to Yoimiya, repeatedly lied about being sick to cover for her delays in working on the zines, and then ghosted the projects after stealing from all the zines she was part of and using the money to go towards buying luxury goods, even mocking the other mods and contributors. Another mod in charge of mailing out orders, working on an Albedo zine, a Xiaobin zine, as well as several others, refused to ship the merch to both zine buyers and to the other mods, several of whom actually volunteered to take over shipping duties, begging to, in order for the zine project to conclude. Mind you, this is just scratching the surface. And then, some fanzine controversies ended up getting so big and so widespread that they left their respective niches and became full-blown pan-fandom incidents. In 2017, on Tumblr, a zine for the Overwatch ship Mikanzo, called Bullseye, had a mod who had sole control of the zine's finances steal funds the zine raised to go towards charity, Stonewall Japan and the True Colors Fund to be precise, and use the money on buying Voltron Legendary Defender merchandise. They spent $1,400 on Voltron charms. Oh my God. This infamous debacle ended up spreading beyond the Overwatch fandom and really shook up the general zine community on Tumblr, with responses ranging from sympathetic to outraged, and what I find incredibly baffling is the fact that ship discourse over McHanzo also got pulled in, which, I don't know, is kinda tone deaf considering a lot of money meant for charity was just stolen. The zine products were eventually shipped out after this mess, months later, but in the end, several buyers either had missing pieces of their bundles, a promised lanyard was excluded from orders despite no refunds being issued for it, many buyers had their zine arrive damaged or with several blank pages, and some customers never received their zine packages at all. It was a mess, a big, disappointing mess. And in 2022, perhaps the best-known zine incident of recent years took place, which was a Persona, Joker and Akechi-centric anthology zine called Showtime that was highly anticipated and popular, had over $20,000 intended for printing and shipping zines and merchandise stolen by the head mod for Genshin Impact. The mod spent over $20,000 on Genshin Impact rolls, on the child banner, as well as plushies, bills, and takeout food. Granted, even before this massive case of embezzlement, the project had some hiccups involving the shipping status of orders being delayed, high production costs, errors with merchandise, badly printed zines due to the printing service used, incorrect address labels, but just as things were looking up and orders were starting to be shipped out, this happens. What's extremely unfortunate is that the other mods couldn't even take legal action since all the pre-order funds were in the head mod's personal account, and the rest of the mod team never signed any formal agreements or contracts with her. Thankfully, the zine was able to fundraise and got some generous donations to finish shipping out all the zine goods, and there were even some leftovers to sell by the end of it all. What really sucks though is that the majority of sketchy fanzine business aren't like these giant blips that pop up every now and then. They happen semi-regularly with smaller projects. They end up screwing over smaller creators, like artists and writers, or zine organizers and mods and editors who end up carrying tainted reputations with them because of failed projects that fell apart due to reasons out of their control. They could have just been minding their own business, working on the zine, trying to do their job, and having the time of their life doing it, whilst unbeknownst to them, there was a scam or some flavor of discourse happening elsewhere on the mod team. There are plenty of zines brought into the world without hitches, and you don't hear about them very often because there's no drama surrounding them. Things go according to plan, people get their products and goods and zines, and everything's fine. Happy clientele, artists and writers will get a nice pat on the back for their efforts, and the mods will move on to the next zine project. But as for how we solve the problems that seem to be plaguing the zine community more and more each day, it's hard to say. People want to buy zines, they want to support these fun projects, and creators want to contribute to them. But you never know when a scummy person is going to hop on board the team, especially if they're constantly switching social media account handles, and if they previously built up a reputation for being reliable and experienced. As a buyer, stay vigilant and keep an eye on who's in charge of the zines you're interested in purchasing. If you're a creator, thoroughly check over the rules, application qualifications, and clarify anything you're unsure about with the zine team to ensure you're welcome, and don't waste time on a project that may eject you or poorly handle a situation if they don't like your work. If you're on a zine project as a mod or editor, take care to be professional, polite, and diplomatic in interacting with both your contributors and fellow mod members. Stay on top of communication, even if you feel ashamed of falling behind or you feel like you're not living up to expectations. Make sure you finish formatting the zines and get the layouts all set before you open pre-orders so you're not scrambling to get everything in order as people are actively buying the goods. Don't let the shipping process drag out. Get everything packed up and situated in a matter of months. Be adaptable with your roles so that if something ends up coming up for one mod, another can take over. And most importantly, don't let one sole person be in charge of zine funds. There has to be a system of checks and balances happening so that thousands of dollars of zine money isn't sitting pretty in one person's personal bank account. Even if they start out with good intentions, temptation or desperation could lead them to taking that money for themselves. Also, might be a bit of a hot take here, but if you're a kid, don't get involved with these zine projects just yet. They're a lot of work and pressure even for experienced project managers or contributors. You don't want to burn out on the responsibility of handling and delivering everything that comes with them. Enjoy your fandom experience and learn about what makes successful zine projects work. See how the mods, artists, and writers who have been part of the zine community for years do it, and take that knowledge with you when you're ready to tackle them. Well, I hope you enjoyed that semi-deep dive into the world of fanzines. What are your thoughts on all of this? Have you bought fanzines before? Have you participated in them as a mod, as a creator? Do you feel like fanzine projects are getting riskier and riskier on the inside and out? And again, if anyone is interested in a Star Wars themed Vashwood zine, then let me know. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.